Have you ever wondered if you're unknowingly destroying your own wealth? Brace yourself, because the financial mistakes you're making could be silently eating away at your money every single day. Today, I'm about to reveal 5 wealth killers that almost everyone overlooks. But if you don't stop these right now, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. These mistakes have the power to cost you thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars over your lifetime. Stay with me until the end, because I'll show you exactly how to spot and eliminate these financial enemies. Trust me, you won't believe the shocking things you're doing wrong. 1. Dirvoice. It may sound strange, but divorce is quietly standing in the way of our path to lasting wealth. The statistics surrounding divorce are truly shocking, and I want to share a few numbers with you that have made me reflect deeply. First, the United States has the 6th highest divorce rate in the world, with 40 to 50% of married couples eventually going through a divorce. Second, the divorce rate in second and third marriages is even higher, 60% and 73%, respectively. That means if you divorce for the first time, your chances of divorcing again in the future become even greater. And this really makes me think. It made me realize that if you're planning to marry, you must be absolutely sure about the person you choose. Because if one day you get divorced, you may find yourself stuck in a never-ending cycle. Each divorce doesn't just drain a lot of money, but there are countless hidden costs we can never anticipate. What's most surprising, though, is that despite all these statistics, only 15% of couples sign a prenuptial agreement. The most common reasons for divorce are a lack of commitment, infidelity, too many conflicts, marrying too early, or financial problems. It's difficult to find a partner who doesn't carry some of these issues, because many times we don't even notice them until we've been married for a while. But why is divorce such a silent killer of your wealth? Studies show that divorce can cost you around $20,000, not to mention additional expenses like child support, alimony, or lawyer fees. In reality, I believe this number can be much higher, especially if one person has more assets than the other. They may lose up to 50% of their wealth to their spouse, which can completely destroy their plans for building wealth. When you get divorced, there are so many costs you can immediately see. For example, if you have to divide the home you share with your spouse, you'll face refinancing or even selling the house. This could raise interest rates and force you to pay a substantial amount more. Or if you have to sell the house, there are many fees involved like closing costs, realtor fees, and more. And if the real estate market isn't favorable when you need to sell, it can create huge challenges. You don't want to sell your home in a buyer's market, but sometimes you have no other choice. Next, when it comes to retirement savings, dividing those funds is also costly. When you have to split retirement savings, you may be forced to withdraw funds early, which means you'll face penalties on retirement accounts, plus legal fees. Dividing retirement funds, especially those meant for retirement, presents another issue. You'll need a court order. Everything becomes much more complicated when you're dealing with these unforeseen costs. This shows that divorce is not just a simple breakup. It's a battle to protect your wealth, a battle you never want to be part of. And this doesn't just affect you. It profoundly impacts those around you, especially your children, those you love most. When you go through a divorce, you'll face many costs and challenges that not everyone anticipates. One of the unavoidable expenses is the cost of moving. Whether you need to move somewhere yourself or your spouse needs to relocate, you'll be dealing with a range of costs related to the move, from renting trucks and packing expenses to the fees associated with transporting your belongings. And that doesn't even account for the division of assets. Things like beloved paintings, valuable furniture, or family heirlooms that hold sentimental value. Everything has worth, and it all must be divided, not just material possessions, but also the emotional and nostalgic attachments tied to them. Next, if you or your spouse owns a business, the division of assets in a divorce becomes even more complicated, particularly if the business was established during the marriage. It could be considered joint property and must be shared. Dividing a business will require hiring experts for valuation, and this process could cost anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000 just for the appraisal. That's not even counting the additional expenses involved in agreements, contracts, and the division of assets within the business. Lastly, let's not forget about your mental and physical well-being. A divorce can leave your mind in turmoil and your emotions in chaos, making it incredibly difficult for both parties. It could lead you to seek therapy, different treatments, or counseling. Moreover, you may struggle to earn an income if your mental state is unstable and your focus is lost. It's incredibly hard to move forward with life when you're carrying emotional and mental wounds. And all these costs could be avoided if you had a prenuptial agreement in place. However, as mentioned earlier, only about 15% of couples actually sign a prenuptial agreement. Though rarely discussed, a prenuptial agreement has many benefits. While it may not be the most romantic thing you could say to your partner, the reality is that it can protect both of your assets and prevent your wealth from being split during a divorce. Such an agreement can protect you from having to share any debts your spouse might bring into the marriage. If applicable, it also provides peace of mind and financial protection for both sides, especially when it comes to dividing assets and financial obligations in the event of a divorce. These protections not only safeguard what you built, but they also ensure financial stability, minimizing potential losses during separation. So, choosing who you marry is one of the most important decisions you'll ever make. Your partner could be the one to stand by your side, supporting you through your dreams, career, and wealth-building journey. But on the flip side, if you make the wrong choice, life could take a turn you never imagined. You could lose so much, both materially and emotionally. So, make sure you thought this decision through carefully before taking that step. Marriage is a lifelong commitment, and you need to understand that while it can bring happiness, it can also pull you into a vortex that's hard to escape if things don't go as planned. 2. New expensive car. The car is a silent yet powerful wealth killer that many fail to recognize. In today's society, a car is not just a means of transportation, it's also a symbol of status and success. But the truth is, owning a beautiful car can be a major financial trap. According to studies, the average cost of owning and operating a car in 2023 is $2,182 per year, a 12% increase from 2022, when the average cost was just $10,728. This number can be attributed to the skyrocketing prices of new cars, the increasing depreciation of certain models, and, most notably, car insurance, which has surged in recent years, making the costs incredibly steep. You might think owning a car is inevitable and necessary, but take a moment to think. Is it truly worth it? Each year, your car not only loses its value, but also forces you to pay massive amounts for insurance, maintenance, and fuel. In reality, a beautiful car can easily drain the money you work hard to earn, and that's one of the silent wealth killers we often overlook. Take a step back and ask yourself, is this car worth the invisible costs it brings? You've probably heard this statistic. On average, car owners with new vehicles pay $738 a month in car loan payments, and that was recorded in Q4 2023. I'd bet that number is even higher now. We often see friends showing off their new cars, receiving compliments for getting a great ride, but rarely do we hear anyone talk about how much they pay each month or the debt they carry. And that's the problem with cars. Because much of our identity seems tied to the car we drive, we often make financial decisions that are wrong just to own a car that's truly beyond our reach. We see that car as beautiful, powerful, something that represents success and boosts our confidence. But sometimes we don't realize that the car is pulling us into a financial burden. Each month, you're paying for that car, but are you paying too high a price for something you don't really need? When you decide to spend on the car of your dreams, remember that there are many alternatives that are not only better for your wallet, but also better for your life. Take the time to think carefully, and don't let things beyond your means control your life and finances. Most people don't realize that, over time, the car you buy will lose its value. The depreciation cost of car is one of the major reasons I don't believe a car is a good asset to invest your money in, because you're watching your money disappear day by day. The moment you drive a new car off the dealership lot, you lose 10 to 15% of its value. And that's just within the first few minutes. Many of us have dreamed about that new car, with its shiny exterior and the allure of its newness. But have you ever asked yourself if it's really worth it? The truth is, while you think you're owning an asset, you're actually watching its value evaporate with each passing day. Cars are not a sustainable investment. If you truly want to save money, I always recommend avoiding buying a brand new car. Instead of pouring money into an asset that will immediately lose value, consider other options, like buying a used car or looking for transportation that fits better within your budget. Don't let the shine of a new car blind you, because the reality is the car doesn't just cost you money. It forces you to pay an invisible price due to the harshness of depreciation. Think carefully and invest in things that have the potential to protect and grow your wealth over the long term. 3. Indifference in investing. The third wealth killer is standing on the sidelines when it comes to investing. When thinking about investing, especially when the market is an all-time high, many people tell themselves, "Oh, I'll wait until the market cools down." Or, another common scenario is when the market is in a downer and people pull out of their positions and wait for the right time to jump back in. But the truth is, standing still and waiting is one of the surest ways to ensure you'll never become wealthy in your lifetime. Investing is not a game where you can just stand by and hope a golden opportunity will come knocking. If you keep waiting for things to be perfect, you'll miss out on so many opportunities. The market is always fluctuating, and if you wait for perfection, you'll never be part of the game. The wealthy are the ones who know how to seize opportunities. They don't stand back in fear when the market shifts. Remember, in investing, nothing is ever completely safe, but if you don't have the courage to step in, you'll never have the chance to change your financial future. According to a study by Fidelity, if you had invested $10,000 in the S&P index from 1980 to the end of 2022, your account would have grown to over $1.08 million. But here's the striking part. If you had missed just the 5 best days in the market during that entire period, your returns would have dropped by a staggering 38%. That's an enormous difference. All because you didn't stay committed and fully participate in the investment journey. This highlights a crucial truth. Sometimes, standing on the sidelines out of fear of market fluctuations or waiting for the perfect time can cause you to miss out on huge profit opportunities. Investing isn't always easy. But if you stay persistent and trust in a long-term strategy, you'll see a noticeable difference. And here's what truly shocks us. If you miss the 10 best days in the market, you'd lose up to 55% of your potential returns. If you miss the 30 best days, that number jumps to 83%. And if you miss the 50 best days, you'd forfeit 93% of all the profits you could have earned by simply staying in the market. This highlights an extremely important point. Patience and presence in the market are crucial factors. The best days are unpredictable and often occur during moments when we're most tempted to give up. Just a small lapse in consistency, one moment of stepping aside, and you lose opportunities that could completely transform your financial future. Investing isn't about avoiding risk. It's about persistence and trusting the long-term process, not letting temporary worries cause you to miss out on monumental opportunities. Clearly, not investing in the market is one of the most expensive mistakes you can make, and this is the biggest mistake of all for this channel. So never let that happen. However, the impact of participating in the market on the best days cannot be understated. You really need those best days in your investment portfolio to help grow your wealth exponentially. These are the days when the market surges, and the profits from those days can completely transform your financial future. Remember, every day you're not in the market is a day you're losing the opportunity to build wealth. Investing isn't just about avoiding risk. It's about seizing the best opportunities and letting your assets grow and compound. If you miss those days, you're missing out on a bright financial future. Stay persistent and have the courage to walk this path. Unless you're about to retire and need to protect short-term assets, it's best to hold your position and continue investing in the market rather than trying to predict the perfect timing. Market fluctuations are inevitable, and if you're feeling uneasy, it's important to step back and look at the bigger picture from a long-term perspective. The market will always have its ups and downs, but if you're solely focused on trying to catch the bottom, you'll miss out on real opportunities to build wealth. Investing is a long journey, not a short race. Don't let temporary volatility make you lose sight of the bigger picture. Remember, while you're worrying about the small fluctuations, The market continues to grow, and your assets will have a chance to increase if you remain patient and steady. Despite market downturns, over the long term, the stock market tends to rise. You can clearly see this even through devastating black swan events like Black Monday in 1987, the September 11th attacks, or the COVID-19 pandemic. All these events, and many more, couldn't stop the market from bouncing back. It's easy to get caught up in short-term events and sudden fluctuations, but history has shown that if you stay patient and view the market from a long-term perspective, you'll realize that your assets have the opportunity to grow exponentially. Remember, the ups and downs of the market are inevitable, but if you keep your faith and stick with a long-term investment strategy, you'll see the wonderful results in the end. Many of us choose to keep cash out of fear of losing money, and this is a completely understandable reaction. However, what's crucial to recognize is that if you simply hold cash without investing or earning any returns from it, inflation is silently eroding your wealth. Each year, your purchasing power decreases as prices rise. You may think you're protecting your money, but in reality, without any interest or profit, you're allowing it to lose value without even realizing it. Imagine a future where your money no longer stretches far enough to buy the things you need. That's why investing, despite the risks, is still one of the best ways to protect and grow your wealth. Don't let fear keep you stagnant. Take action and make your money work for you. At the very least, you should keep your money in a high-yield savings account. This way, you'll earn interest of around 4 to 5% on your savings. However, when interest rates are low, you may no longer receive those attractive returns from high-yield accounts. In that case, it's time to shift toward investing in the stock market, where historically, the average annual return has been between 8% to 10%. This doesn't mean there's no risk, but compared to keeping your money in a savings account with no growth, the stock market offers a way to grow your wealth over the long term. Don't let your money sit idle. Make it work for you and create bigger opportunities for the future. 4. Failure to account for inflation. One of the most dangerous wealth killers is not properly accounting for inflation. We've seen the clear impact of inflation in recent years, as global prices for goods have skyrocketed. In June 2022, the year-over-year change in commodity prices nearly hit 9%, and now that number has stabilized around 3 to 3.5% with each new inflation report. This means that every day, whether we're at the market, the supermarket, or shopping, we can feel the relentless rise in prices. If you don't factor inflation into your financial planning, you'll find that the money you have today won't be enough to buy the things you want in the future. Inflation quietly erodes the value of your wealth without leaving any obvious marks. That's why understanding and accounting for inflation is absolutely crucial in protecting your financial future. Don't let it become a silent enemy that robs you of opportunities to build your wealth. Just about 4 years ago, I clearly remember being able to buy a bowl of Chipotle for around $10, and I could do a week's worth of grocery shopping for the family for less than $100. But now, everything has changed. A Chipotle bowl now costs $15, and the cost for a week's worth of groceries has risen to $150. Certainly, for many people, this number is even higher, but this is the reality that I, along with many others, experience every day. The price of a Chipotle bowl has increased by 50%, and my weekly grocery bill keeps getting more expensive, even as the quantities get smaller. This clearly illustrates the powerful impact of inflation on our everyday lives. Costs that we once could easily control have now become a significant concern. As the cost of living rises, personal finances become more challenging. If we're not careful, these changes can gradually swallow you without you even realizing it. The impact of inflation today is undeniable, and sadly, prices tend to rise but rarely, if ever, decrease. I asked my father about the periods of high inflation in the 70s and 80s, when inflation rates were 10 to 15% year over year, and he said that the situation back then was very similar, almost identical to what we're experiencing now. Things that were once affordable are now becoming more expensive, and the sad truth is, prices rarely return to what they once were. Inflation isn't just about rising prices. It's a silent and enduring shift that makes our lives harder, whether we like it or not. The small costs we used to overlook have now turned into significant concerns. We have to face this reality, and the crucial thing is to know how to respond, to find solutions to protect our finances and our future. In addition to inflation, interest rates have also risen to combat this issue. But the consequence is that home prices are now more out of reach than ever before. The latest estimates show that in 2024, as many as 103.5 million households will be unable to afford a new home at the average price, based on standard lending criteria. This highlights how housing costs, insurance, and property taxes are taking up a significant portion of household income, when ideally, these expenses should not exceed 28% of a family's monthly income. This reality is leaving many feeling powerless, unable to achieve the dream of owning the home they desire. As home prices continue to rise, coupled with high borrowing rates, the dream of homeownership for many, especially the younger generation, is becoming an increasingly difficult challenge. This is the time for us to reassess, seek out reasonable ways to protect our finances, and make wise decisions in this turbulent period. The lesson here is that if you don't adjust your monthly budget to account for inflation, or if you don't ask for a raise, the value of your money, or your purchasing power, will gradually decrease over time and be eroded by inflation. This means that, even if you don't notice it immediately year by year, you are losing your ability to spend and the real value of the money you have. Moreover, if this factor combines with the other wealth killers I've shared in today's video, your problems will only worsen over time. That's why it's crucial to track and adjust your budget. We can't sit back and wait for the market to change, because time waits for no one. If you don't actively change your spending and investing habits, you'll allow inflation and other external factors to slowly erode your wealth. So, always stay alert and flexible in managing your finances to protect the stability and growth of your wealth in the future. 5. Debt. The fifth wealth killer on today's list is debt, especially high-interest debt, and especially when you fall into the trap of the wrong kind of debt. However, there are cases where having some debt is not only acceptable but even necessary on your journey to building wealth. For example, when buying a home, you'll likely need to take out a mortgage. If you want to pursue a graduate degree, you'll almost certainly need to borrow money for tuition. Or if you want to buy a car, you may need to take out an auto loan, particularly if you're young and don't have enough financial capacity yet. Even when you're starting a business, taking out a small business loan from the bank can be the first step toward realizing your dream. But the key is knowing how to manage your debt. If you're not careful, high-interest debts can drag you into an endless financial spiral. So, it's essential to learn how to use debt wisely as a tool to support your financial growth, rather than letting it become a burden that holds you back. When you use debt as a tool, it's crucial to consider the long-term impact of that debt. Paying off debt isn't just about making monthly payments. In reality, you're sacrificing the opportunity to use that money for saving or investing. Those funds could be used to build your wealth in the future, but instead, they're going toward paying down debt, especially when you have high-interest debt. If your balance keeps growing, paying it off becomes an incredibly difficult challenge, and you could find yourself trapped in an endless cycle. This is when debt stops being a helpful tool and becomes a heavy burden. You need to think very carefully before deciding to take on debt, because if you don't, you'll pay the price by losing precious opportunities in the future. Remember, while debt can help solve immediate problems, if not properly managed, it can rob you the chance to build sustainable wealth. If you regularly carry a credit card balance between $1,000 and $3,000, owning a credit card may not be the best choice for you. Because if that balance grows to $5,000 or $10,000, the high interest rates on credit cards can become a real danger and could trap you in debt for a long time. As of February 2024, the average credit card interest rate is 22.63%, meaning if you have a $10,000 balance on your card, you'll have to pay at least $187 a month just to cover the interest. This can quickly become a massive financial burden, dragging on indefinitely. Credit cards can help in emergency situations, but if not managed wisely, they can become a double-edged sword. You can easily fall into a debt spiral if you can't control your spending. So, think carefully before using a credit card. Don't let debt pull you down and reduce your financial capability in the future. Debt isn't just a financial burden. It also limits your flexibility in life. When you have a loan that feels impossible to escape, you may find yourself stuck in a job you don't want or unable to seize new opportunities. Imagine wanting to change careers, start a business, or try a new project, but because of debt, you can't take that leap outside your comfort zone. Every decision you make is tied to financial obligations, and this can slow down your personal growth. If you can't freely choose the path you want to take, debt is taking away your freedom, your dreams, and your ability to transform your life. That's why, if you're carrying debt, ask yourself if it's really worth trading your freedom for. Don't let debt make you miss out on amazing opportunities. Learn to control your finances so you're not bound by unnecessary debt. Let your life be wide open to new possibilities. So, what can we do to address this issue? The most important thing is to ensure that your debt payments are always reasonable and within your control. According to most financial experts, you should make sure that your total debt payments don't exceed 35 to 40% of your gross monthly income. These debts include mortgage payments, student loans, car loans, and more. Following smart home buying principles, the total cost of housing should not exceed 30% of your monthly income. If you stick to this rule, it means you'll have only 5 to 10% of your income left for other debt payments. This shows that, in order to maintain strong financial health, you must know how to balance your spending and avoid letting debt overwhelm your financial capacity. Having a sound financial strategy and a clear debt repayment plan will not only ease your financial burden, but also give you the opportunity to build a stable and financially free future. When it comes to building wealth, the key is knowing how to avoid the mistakes that could destroy your financial future. Letting these wealth killers sneak into your life will keep you from getting rich, and in some cases, they could even push you into debt. Remember, your goal should be to grow your wealth over time, not to sell off assets just to survive financially. That's the real wealth killer. So, which of these wealth killers are you most guilty of? Drop a comment and let me know. Don't forget to subscribe for more tips on building true financial freedom. See you in the next video.